Here at Plead Your Case, we're doing things a little differently today. We're snowed inside Wilson Hall, so then I say, let's get a little creative. Why the heck not? NFL is heating up. The Super Bowl's just 2.5 weeks away. NHL, we're about halfway midpoint through the season, and the Olympics are getting good. And on top of that, the coaching carousel. It's been as hot as ever. So let's get creative. Let's have some fun. And more importantly, let's plead the case. Let's debate and let's talk. So now it's time. Sit back, relax, and it's time to plead your case.
Plead Your Case. Waynesburg Community Television's national sports debate show, now expanding outside the realm of the Power 4 sports. All our panelists will expand into the depths of professional sports while speaking on the newest sports topics each week. We're also bringing new mini-segments like I Got Something to Say, State of the Union, Pick'em Pools, while even bringing back a popular mini-segment, the 5 and 5. Here at PYC, we plan to create debates, create memories, and the best takes possible for you, the viewer. No one is safe. Every opinion, every angle will be challenged and discussed to further detail. So sit back, relax. It's now time to plead your case.
Welcome into this week's edition of PYC, the snowed-in edition. I'm alongside Brady, Donovan, and Wyatt CLATTERBAUGH. I'm Stone MANGES, and we will be talking about the championship rounds from the NFL playoffs. Seattle and New England coming out with victories. Boys, we are going to start in the NFC. Seattle, they defeated Los Angeles 31-27. Your immediate reaction from this game?
I knew it was going to be a nail-biter going into that game. I think almost everybody thought it was going to be a nail-biter, kind of relating back to that game where the Rams traveled to Seattle, where it was won on a wild play in a wild game. I honestly, I don't think anybody really expected a different NFC championship.
No, I'm exactly the same as Brady. It was a great game. I knew it was going to come down to the wire. JSN had 153 yards and a touchdown. Sam Darnold threw for over 300 yards, 3 touchdowns. So Seattle proved why they have been one of the top dominant teams in the league this year, but it was a great game overall.
So obviously, Los Angeles unable to come up with a victory. Your reaction to their season as they came up short in an MVP almost season from Matthew Stafford?
I do think he will be the MVP. That's just kind of my take, obviously, with the success that LA has had. Not to, diss on Drake May and all that he's done up in New England, but just a fantastic season and an unfortunate way to go out. But if you want to go out to a team, you want to go out to a team like Seattle.
Yeah, I think the Rams had a great season. I did talk about it. They did lose a couple games that they didn't really have any business losing to in the regular season, and their clock management was a little bit off at some points because against the Falcons, they had no timeouts left, had about only 50 seconds and couldn't do anything. It was kind of the same situation in this case. But as you said, Matthew Stafford arguably or should win MVP this year. I think he's one of the best quarterbacks in the league. Nothing against Drake May. I think Drake May has had a great second season, but I think Matthew Stafford deserves it. But Rams came up just a little bit short, but I think we could see the Rams back in the same game next year.
Well, all right, I answered one of the questions that I was going to ask. Matt Stafford, 37 years old. Davante Adams, 33 years old. Is LA's window to win closing quicker than people think, or do you think that window remains open for a couple more years?
I think it could remain open. I know Matthew Stafford has already said that he's going to come back next year. He wants to come back and play in 2026, so I think he wants to come back. I know Davante Adams doesn't want to be 0-5 in conference championship games anymore, so I think they do have it, but if they do it, it has to be now. They have to bring in more pieces, bring back some of the pieces that they have offensively and defensively. So I think it's open, but it is maybe like 1 or 2 years left.
I have to agree. Stafford's definitely coming back, like you said. Davante Adams, I would be immensely surprised if he did not return to LA. Like you said, 0-5 in NFC Championship games, obviously 4 with the Packers, and then this time around with the Rams. Like you said, just a couple of key pieces that I think you need to hang on to, and especially some on the defense that I think has kind of been overshadowed by obviously this stellar offense. But I think some keys need to return for them to go back to kind of what we saw this year.
Both Devontae Adams and Matt Stafford have 1 year remaining on their contracts, and then they've got Puka Nacua and Kyron Williams, some young pieces on the offensive side of the ball that they will have for years to come. Moving over to the AFC, Denver fell at home in a blizzard in the second half, 10-7. New England going back to the Super Bowl for the first time since 2019. They will take on the Seattle Seahawks. Guys, your reaction from this game in Denver? It was a tight one, 10-7.
Nail biter again. Those first few drives into that game, it looked like the Broncos had it all. It looked like they were going to pull off the upset of all upsets with Jarrett Stidham, the only quarterback to never throw a pass in the regular season to play in a conference championship game. It looked like they were done. I mean, it looked like, okay, you know, we're punching our ticket, as Lanny Fratteri would not like me saying, punch their ticket to go to the Super Bowl. But Drake May, I mean, came out on top, obviously.
Well, and this is also a very defensive-heavy game. I mean, it was 10-7, as you mentioned, so only a touchdown and a field goal for the Patriots to win this game. Jarrett Stidham had that 53-yard touchdown, not touchdown, but long pass to set up the touchdown to Courtland Sutton. And I was kind of the same way as Brady. I thought the Broncos were going to run away with it, but then they started pressuring Jarrett Stidham, and you could really see the pressure was starting to get to him. He couldn't really make his reads. But props to that defensive line of the Patriots for just getting to Jarrett Stidham and really making him nervous, obviously through that costly interception to Christian Gonzalez. So congratulations to the Patriots, but it was another nail-biter down to the wire.
Yeah, Drake May in his second season leading New England to the Super Bowl. Obviously, if Bo Nix is in this game, if there isn't a blizzard in the second half of this game, the outcome may have been different, but it is New England and Seattle in the Super Bowl for the first time in 11 years, these two, the rematch of the 2015 Super Bowl. So guys, does Drake May in his second season have what it takes to give New England their 7th all-time Super Bowl, or will Sam Darnold and the Seahawks come out on top?
I'm going to say I think the Seahawks come out on top. You saw the offense in the playoffs for the Patriots. They weren't that consistent. I mean, they were winning games, but their defense bailed them out a lot of the time. So I think the Seahawks defense is really going to shake Drake May's confidence a little bit. It's going to be something he hasn't seen before. And I think Sam Darnold and that offense is just going to pick up the momentum. I know Lanny doesn't like us saying that either, but momentum, and just carry it on into the Super Bowl. I think Sam Darnold's got a really good thing going with him. Obviously, JSN, Cooper Kupp. So I think the Seahawks run away with this one.
Yeah, we've been saying it for a while. I think that the Super Bowl runs through the NFC, at least for this year. However, if Sam Darnold and that oblique injury were to pop up on the injury chart throughout this week or even going into the game, I wouldn't be surprised if the Patriots could run away, just because Drew Lock, we've seen him play. I mean, and especially in a game like the Super Bowl, I don't like the odds if Sam Darnold were to go down.
Pro Bowl games are next week. The Super Bowl in 2 weeks. We will have more coverage and predictions for the Super Bowl on Plead Your Case next week when we return to the studio, hopefully. Coming up next on the Snowden edition of PYC, we have the hockey segment, so don't go anywhere.
Welcome into the NHL segment here on Plead Your Case, and it's kind of ironic with the Snowden edition. We're going to start off and kick off the hockey segment for today's episode, and we still got about 2.5, 3 weeks till the Winter Olympics kick off so far over in Croatia, but for right now, in the hockey landscape, there's a lot of open doors because NHL players are now allowed to compete in the Winter Olympics. First time since 2014. So I'm going to turn over to the two hockey gurus of Tyler Aaron and Brayden King to kick us off and I guess break the ice of this segment and wonder, right now, as from the rosters alone on paper, who's really standing out? And it really is Canada really just going to run away with this thing? Because, I mean, the roster is absolutely stacked.
I mean, Canada, they're the favorite to win this this whole thing by far. You can take a look at the roster by paper, and they've got a whole bunch of stars, right? Crosby, McKinnon, McDavid, a whole bunch of former first overall picks. That kind of talent is ridiculous in this kind of countrywide event, and there's a reason why they're the betting favorite. They've won the last 2+ Olympics that Crosby has been in, and that NHL players have competed in. So they've got a lot of skin in the game. And for my expectation, if they don't run the table and win every single game by at least 4 goals, it's kind of an embarrassment on their part.
Yeah, I mean, I really think Team Canada is going to absolutely kill everyone they play. My only concern really is the goaltending. Your goaltenders are Jordan Binnington, Darcy Kemper, and Logan Thompson. I don't love that. Jordan Binnington has shown in the past that he can play with a great defensive team in front of him, but he's really struggled this season in St. Louis. So I don't know which Jordan Binnington we're going to get. You might have to rely on Logan Thompson. I would actually like him to start at least a game or two, especially in these qualifying rounds. But with Team Canada they're honoring their past with the older guys like Crosby and Drew Doughty and bringing in all this younger talent, especially a guy like Macklin Celebrini, who's doing very well with the San Jose Sharks this year, to bring him in, learn from all these older guys, and on both sides of the puck, in the offensive end and the defensive end.
Now, primarily focusing with Team USA, do you think that the team really whiffed on some of these guys? Because there are some top point scorers in the NHL who aren't even on the Olympic roster. Do you think the United States kind of whiffed on that opportunity to be able to put a better team on the ice to compete in the Olympics right now? And second part of that question is, I think the goaltending of USA is better than Canada's. I think that's the one part that you can arguably say the United States has over Canada. How true do you feel that is as well?
100%. The goaltending is unbelievable. Another thing Lanny Fateri doesn't like you to say, but it truly is extraordinary with their goaltending that they have. But I do agree, there are multiple different players that were left off of this Team USA team that I just don't agree with. The fact that it seems to be on a night-to-night basis where the storyline is Cole Caulfield, Jason Robertson. They're tearing up with their respective teams in the Dallas Stars and the Montreal Canadiens. And then you put a guy like JT Miller on Team USA, who is running a 9-game losing streak, captain of the New York Rangers, who is going out in your interviews post-game and saying, look, we're trying the best we can, nothing can happen. That's not really a leader in my eyes. So I think, you should have went with the younger talent, the more two-way players like Jason Robertson, like Cole Caulfield, to step in and really boost the impact on Team USA.
I'll be completely honest with you. I'm not sure if Cole Caulfield and Jason Robertson are more of a two-way kind of style. I think they're both elite scorers, absolutely. But, I think this USA roster is a little bit interesting to me. Obviously, there were players that a whole bunch of fans are talking about that they wanted on the squad and they left them out. I think USA this year kind of went on a different approach than they did with the Four Nations. Obviously, the goaltending is fantastic. Hellebuck and Ottinger, they're the 2 best goalies in the league, right? But as far as the skaters side of things, I think that the U.S. made the right decision. I think they did. I really do. They made the decision to pick up the roster that was going to be the best to compete against Canada. And, you have these scrappy kind of guys, and I think the grit is really going to help and slow down Canada's offense, and I think that's why they picked those players.
Herb Brooks said it best. You don't want the best players on the ice. You need the right guys on the ice, and that's the last time Team USA won gold in men's hockey was 1980 with the Miracle on Ice, with the Team USA famously defeating the Soviet Union. But now we're going to kind of transition to our normal everyday NHL life as we got a couple weeks left until the Olympics. Kind of tying in with some of those players. There's some players we talked about that are up for maybe the Hart Trophy in that competition as well, where they stand. Connor McDavid sits atop the NHL in points to no one's really surprise. Who's right now kind of running away with that as we near the halfway point of the NHL season?
Nathan MacKinnon. If he's not the Hart Trophy winner, then why do they even have the competition? I mean, statistic-wise, he's got the best point per game total right now. He's a plus 49 at plus-minus. That just shows you the impact that he has on 5-on-5. As a leader for his squad on the best team in hockey right now, he's the guy. He's got to be the guy.
Well, I think it'll be Connor McDavid. Leads the team in points. I don't think they're going to go Nathan MacKinnon back-to-back. The NHL typically never does someone who wins back-to-back Hart trophies. I really think it'll be Connor McDavid again because they just seem to give it to the same 4 players. Although in my heart, I really want it to be Macklin Celebrini. Mm-hmm. He's tied for 4th in the NHL in points right now with Leon Draisaitl. The San Jose Sharks are having one of their best seasons ever. right now. So Macklin Celebrini is really leading that path for San Jose. They're in the second wild card spot right now in the Western Conference. I really think if the San Jose Sharks make the playoffs and Macklin Celebrini can eclipse that 100-point mark, I think he's a strong contender for the Hart Trophy.
I'll finish off contender-wise. I think you got to include Nikita Kucherov. I think it would be criminal if we didn't say his name. I know he's still third in points. He's down 12 to McDavid in first place, but I mean, he's been our Tampa Bay year after year after year seems to have such a sluggish start, and he's usually the flame that ignites that restart. A couple 13, 15 games into the season. I think Nikita Kucherov, if you didn't at least mention him, as we still have a whole second half of the season and a few games left to play there as well. But kind of carrying on to finish off our NHL segment today, right now, the trade deadline has 2 months left as well until we reach that point. But we're seeing some teams like the Colorado Avalanche, like the Dallas Stars, who just really look to be miles ahead of a lot of other teams in the NHL. Do you think they're going to be top teams at the trade deadline to make some key moves to win the Stanley Cup this year?
Actually, no. And the team that I have on my radar right now is the Anaheim Ducks. They've had a lot of news going around them with Evander Kane especially. They have $36 million of cap space in the playoffs to use. So, and right now they're sitting at third in the Pacific Division. So if they really want to make this playoff push and make it right now and kind of kickstart their window, I think of guys like Brayden Schenn, Evander Kane, Artemi Panarin, if he's available, to try and get on this roster and see if they can take that next step, because they're right there. And this is the first time that this window has kind of opened up for them in the last couple of seasons. If the Anaheim Ducks are serious about what they need to go for, this is the year.
I'm looking in that Central Division for sure, just not the Dallas Stars or the Colorado Avalanche. I'm looking specifically at the Minnesota Wild right now. They traded a ton of their center depth in acquiring Quinn Hughes from the Vancouver Canucks. So now there's that big gaping hole now there at the center position. And I think that the Minnesota Wild needs a younger center, a lot like Marco Rossi was. And I'm looking to Seattle. I'm looking at Jared McCann right now, what he's done up there in Seattle for the Kraken. And I think he would fit perfectly there in lines 1 or 2. And Minnesota's right there on the cusp, along with Dallas and Colorado in the top 3 spots in the Central Division. So I wouldn't count Minnesota out. But you look on the opposing side, the New York Rangers, they just have to trade anybody they can. And I guess essentially tank for Gavin McKenna. Sorry, I lost it.
Stenberg.
Yeah.
I think that's a valid understanding. I think you could include Carolina, $7 million of cap space. They're traditionally a team that is known to make moves at the deadline. I think you can include the Detroit Red Wings as well. Even though they don't have really any cap space, they're a top-heavy team. Third and fourth line could definitely use some touching up as well. I think those are other key teams to name. But that's going to conclude our ice-breaking segment with the NHL kind of catching back up as we near the halfway point. Although finishing off here in today's PYC episode, the coaching carousel, the widely considered most craziest coaching carousel in recent memory, is going to get analyzed, led by Logan ARBLASTER here on Plead Your Case.
Hawks and the Patriots are getting ready for a rematch of the Super Bowl in 2014, where Russell Wilson threw the infamous interception on the goal line. It's been an insane NFL offseason so far for everybody else, as there has been 7 head coach openings already fixed and underway, as there's been multiple acquisitions amongst those teams so far. 1/3 of NFL head coach openings as the offseason starts. So Logan ARBLASTER here with you, and across from me is Paul SEMBOWER and Seth Adams. Guys, lots of moves so far in the NFL this season. Most notably, I think John Harbaugh going to the Giants is the best move so far. But what moves have you guys seen that have either hit or missed in your opinion?
For me, the first miss I see here is the Bills with firing Sean McDermott. Is he to blame? Not entirely. I mean, he's been given 9 years, but no Super Bowl.
What do you mean not entirely? This guy is Josh Allen, and you think he's not to blame entirely?
Slow down. I'm on his side.
He didn't even make his point yet, but I already hear him saying that Sean McDermott's not to blame. I know we just started. This is ridiculous. This is the most unheard of thing I've ever heard of in my life. Josh Allen is your quarterback, and you don't.
Please.
Finish your point. Finish your point.
There have been times where he's gone so close. They just lost in that game against the Broncos by a field goal in overtime. Josh Allen had 3 touchdowns and 2 interceptions, but these interceptions happen at crucial times.
And bad fumbles, too.
And bad fumbles. But besides that, I don't think it's entirely Sean McDermott's fault. There have been time after time where they come so close every time to getting it, but they just can't get there.
Yeah, I agree. I felt like they were close.
I mean, the weapons that he had was none. I mean, you got Shakir, Coleman. I mean, that's really it. Dalvin Cook, too. But I don't really think it was all his fault either. I agree with Paul, my good friend Paul here.
In the NFL, you're judged off of wins and losses if you're a quarterback and if you're a head coach. But if you're watching the Buffalo Bills play football and you don't think that Josh Allen is Superman,
He is Superman.
He is Superman.
He is, but he didn't play very well.
And for that reason, if your head coach isn't getting you over the hump, and then Josh Allen is just willing you into AFC Championship game after AFC Championship game, that has to fall back on your head coach.
Isn't there?
It has to fall back on your head coach.
Also with the offensive coordinator that they just hired, Joe Brady.
And you'd think that the Buffalo Bills position is the easiest to get to from point A to point B, where they could win a Super Bowl if they hire the next guy. I don't think hiring internally was the right move for the Buffalo Bills. I think they should have went externally. They were looking at Nathan Shieldhouse of the Rams, and he just finished up his season, so he's now able to be interviewed. So I think they jumped the gun a little bit there, and I think their process wasn't right in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree with that. I don't think they should have went internally. We've seen him. But I do understand he's been with Josh Allen for a while now, and he knows the system well. But if you do want change, if that's what you want from an organization is change, hiring internally, how much change are you really going to get, to be honest with you? So.
Well, we spent a bunch of time on the Bills, but there were 6 other hirings around the NFL, those hirings being Mike McCarthy with the Steelers, which we'll highlight and spend a bunch of time on. The New York Giants hired John Harbaugh. The Atlanta Falcons, Kevin Stefanski. Ravens got Jesse Minter. Tennessee Titans got Robert Saleh. And the Miami Dolphins got Jeff Hafley. So amongst those names, are there any that come out of the woodwork there and pop out to you?
You know, I think it's good that the Browns let go Stefanski and that the Falcons picked him up. That's really good for the Falcons because he brought 2 11-win seasons to Cleveland, something that Cleveland has only done in the last century. But unlike Cleveland, he actually has some tools to work with on his Falcon teams. Michael Penix Jr., Bijan Robinson, Kyle Pitts, and even the really good linebacker, Caden Ellis. I think he's going to be a good fit in Atlanta, and I'm glad that the Browns let go of him.
I think Robert Saleh going to the Titans is kind of like a part 2 of his expedition with the Jets. He's going to an organization that really don't have a lot of anything. You have Cam Ward, a new young quarterback, but I mean, we really don't know how that's going to go. But it's an interesting hire because he's been in that position before and he didn't really do anything with it. So I'm not really sure how I feel about that. I don't think that was the best decision. Why are you smirking at me?
Well, I will say there to your point, Paul, about Kevin Stefanski going to the Browns is that they have kind of pushed out Kevin Stefanski, and that's why that NFL head coaches don't want to go to the Browns. Actually, quite a few of the head coaches that they try to interview, they just didn't. They denied the interview request. So that tells you a whole lot of what's going on there in Cleveland. But I do think that's a good hire by the Falcons. That they're in a position that they could quickly adapt and move forward towards postseason contention. And as for the point there that you were making as well with Robert Saleh, that's not one that I really look at as a big move. I think the Titans are still so far away from anything that it could take a whole extra bunch of time before they're really back in a suitable spot for them. But for me, John Harbaugh with the Baltimore Ravens moving on to the New York Giants is the big move to look at, because if you look at the rosters that they have, the Giants have the best roster of all the teams that were looking for a head coach. They have, or at least one that you can look at as a head coach and go into it as saying, okay, I can take this team to the next level. They have a quarterback in Jackson Dart. They have a running back in Cam Scatterby, who I think the Steelers should have drafted in their draft last season. And I think that also whenever you get back Malik Neighbors, that's a star-studded lineup there on offense, and that is exactly what you want when you're going into a new system as a head coach.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one. They got the best. They got one of the best situations, along with, I'd say, like the Steelers as well, to be able to build on that.
And the big news today, 2 p.m., it was the introductory press conference for Mike McCarthy, who signed a 5-year deal with the Pittsburgh Steelers. It's the 4th head coach since the 1970s merger for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And man, was it an exciting day for the black and gold. I personally watched the entire press conference, and one of the things that Mike McCarthy said that stood out to everybody right away, I think maybe some of the press wanted to give a standing ovation and applause. I heard some claps in the background, but nonetheless, McCarthy said that he was he's proud to be a Pittsburgh Steeler, and he was
born to be a Pittsburgh Steeler, basically. His world's Pittsburgh is what his quote was. My world is Pittsburgh. And he was so choked up that he could barely get it out. So I think it's a good move for Pittsburgh, not just because of the tradition that the McCarthys have in Pittsburgh, but also because of what he brings to the offense.
You know, I like seeing his passion for Pittsburgh, but I kind of wish they would have went a different way with the head coach. You know, I was looking for someone maybe with like Chris Shula, but looking at the statistical measures here, Mike Tomlin and Mike McCarthy are really two similar guys. 193 regular season wins for Mike Tomlin, 174, 114, 112 losses, 2 ties, 8 playoff losses, 11 playoff losses, and 10 playoff wins, 11 playoff wins. They're pretty much the same coach. And it's just like different coach, different year. And I would have like I said, I would like to see someone like Chris Shula with a more offensive mind, but I guess we're just going to have to settle for Mike McCarthy. To see
that seems like, Paul, the common consensus. Although we didn't agree on the Buffalo Bills point, I certainly agree with you on that point, that the common consensus amongst the public appears to be that the Steelers are going to be stuck in 10-7 purgatory with Mike McCarthy. It's just Mike 1, Mike 2, not much of a difference, Seth. What do you think?
You know, I think Mike's our guy.
I'm sold. I'm sold based on the press conference. I am.
Press conference and you see the heart that's in his eyes. I understand that he has a lot of history here, and I get that's kind of a main point right now. But you got to give him a chance, guys. This team needs something, and I get the statistics show the statistics, but when it comes to heart and soul, that's what you got. I didn't see that from Mike T. It got to a point where I was so sick of it just. You can say all the numbers you want, Paul, and you can keep laughing at whatever's going on behind us. But what's going on right now is that I think you're wrong.
You know, I don't understand why you think I'm wrong, man. I'm telling you, it's going to be the same thing over and over again. I've seen it with the Pittsburgh Pirates. I've seen it with the Penguins.
What does the Pirates have to do with anything?
It's just the same atmosphere of Pittsburgh. We just seem to be stuck in the same kind of purgatory.
But at least it's a change. It's a whole clean house. They cleaned house.
How much of it?
All right. Let's wrap it back in. And I'll say
what we wanted as fans.
And I'll say that. Oh, I completely agree.
Guess what? The house is cleaned.
The one point that I will say, as we wrap this up, is that Mike McCarthy has a great track record with developing quarterbacks. One of the main reasons he got the Steelers job is he brought up in the interview that he was part of Joe Montana's development, and even more so Aaron Rodgers, which could be the quarterback in 2026. So will it be more of the same? Will it be much different?
I hope not too.
We'll find that answer out. I think that Will Howard is a guy that Mike McCarthy's pretty high on too. And before we go, I want to say the fact that Mike McCarthy also mentioned that he took a bunch of time in the offseason and the seasons that he's spent away from the game since he was the Cowboys head coach to see the more updated concepts that are going on in the NFL, the newer ways to run offenses, run the route trees that you see the Kansas City Chiefs dominating with, the Buffalo Bills that just got their new head coach. So I think that maybe that's something that he can bring to Pittsburgh. So that does it for this episode of PYC. Will Mike McCarthy bring the Steelers the 7th Super Bowl home? We will find out. Sit back, relax. You've been watching Plead Your Case.